Hello, mindful friends. Today we're going to be talking about the very foundation of every practice, which is the breath. The ability to just come back home in this moment, clear yourself of whatever else you were thinking about or clinging to or trying to solve or fix, and being able to just center yourself on your breath. Of that one simple practice, breathing in, I know that I am breathing in, breathing out, I know that I am breathing out. And this is why I love Thich Nhat Hanh's practice so much and all of his teachings, because he really does consistently just bring us back to what's most important, to the very foundation. Because he knows that if we can't do that, if we can't just breathe, then we will not be able to do anything else in our practice or grow it in any other way, because that truly is the foundation of everything that we do in a mindful practice. And many of us can forget that as we're developing and as we're trying to solve more complex problems or use our mindfulness for more complex situations. And we start feeling like in these complex situations, we need more complex solutions. So we go to all these different teachings and we find all these different steps of what we should do and how we should work through it, when really, if we cannot just come back home and breathe, none of these other things will be very fruitful at all. And this is because when we're able to breathe and just recenter, this is what brings us back to what's truly important. It's what helps us to come back to our true intentions, to calm all of those systems going on within us that are reacting to emotions, that are reacting to post stories, that are trying to solve, that are blaming the external, that are telling us we're the victim. And if we can quiet all of those and for just a few moments breathe, then that is what recenters us on the ability to be able to listen to that wisdom within and to remember what truly is important. And most of the time when we do that, we see that what we've been worrying about, what we've been frantically trying to work through, really isn't that big. And that our way of going about it that's really complex, and we're trying to put all of these pieces together and put everything into line so that it works out just so, that all of that was complicating things even more and bringing more stress into our lives, bringing more chaos into our being, bringing in that storm into our mental world. And when we are able to just breathe, that all of that calms down, that it starts to settle, and that storm in our mind starts to clear, and the chaos of our emotions begins to calm, and we can really focus on what really matters. And until we can do that, until we can truly bring ourselves out of the chaos of our reactionary mode, of our trying to fix, of all these different means of making things better, until we can really calm that, our next steps won't actually be aligned with true intention or with that greater system and our purpose within it. They can't. Because until we're calm enough to just breathe, to just be present, we are acting out of the stress. We are acting out of the fear. We are acting out of the heightened emotional state. And that never leads us to true resolution and peace. And so what Thay is telling us in all of his teachings is it starts with the breath. it always starts with the calming. And that why a lot of us want to keep pushing on into more complex things, or into the solving, or into what kind of next routine or quick fix is going to help me, is because the actual being able to center on the breath is the hardest practice, because it requires the most amount of internal effort. And I'm always baffled at this. I use this breathing technique myself, not only in the day, but also if I wake up in the middle of the night. And I wake up in the middle of the night, and immediately, as soon as I become conscious, my mind will start racing, because the mind likes to feel really important. It likes to feel like it has something to solve, like we need it to be doing something. And so it starts going, and it tells stories, and it's making your to-do list, and it's reminding you of all the things you need to do. And it's exhausting, right? And it keeps us out of sleep. Well, at least for me, it keeps me out of sleep. And so you would think that it would be effortless and easy to just focus on the breath, because that's really relaxing. That's what brings us back down. But it's not, right? And if any of you have tried this, you know that this is not an easy practice. And that's why so many of us prefer to have practices that keep us doing, keep us trying to solve, keep us taking the next step. Because coming back to the breath and just being still is hard. And so as I'm laying there at night and I'm trying to go back to bed, and I know that just breathe, just focus on the breath, I know that that's going to help, but it takes effort. The mind wants to go, the mind wants to wander, the mind wants to be free, like we're trying to bring it back, and it just wants to roam. But that is exhausting for the mind. So it's this kind of, counterintuitive process of, well, the mind wants to relax. It really wants to kind of open up and have a moment of peace, and yet its urge or its tendency is to want to reel. It wants to keep going. And it is an effortful process to be able to just breathe. And it takes constant reminder. I have to continually bring the mind back. Just breathe. And I'll say it out loud. Breathing in, I know that I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know that I am breathing out. And it gets a little bit easier, as some of you know, as you're practicing it and you start getting used to that, and the mind starts getting used to that process of coming back, just breathe. But that it's never easy, and it is always effortful. And our habit is to keep going, which is why a lot of us, as we're progressing through our practice, we kind of leave behind the simpler foundation of, can I just be here for 2 minutes, maybe 5 minutes or 10, but can I really, really just be with the breath? And we forget it because we want to get more complicated practices. We want to be able to ponder. We want to be able to fix. We want that mind wants to again come back and feel important, like it has something to do or focus on. And when it's told, come back and just breathe, it's like, what? Like, what am I doing? I'm bored. This is terrible. This is hard. That is where Thich Nhat Hanh really knew his practice. That if we can't do that, we can't do anything else. So I always return to that as my foundation is the breath. And when I'm there, and when you truly do arrive there, things clear on their own. Your perspective clears, the mind starts to clear, the heart starts to clear, and we start letting go of those little fights that were keeping us grasping on and keeping us stressed and keeping us feeding those stories. And that's what the mind, kind of wants us not to do, because it wants to feel important. And so that's the process of, if you can just breathe, almost everything else starts to align on its own. And that starts to create the space from which we can really start to heal and find that cleansing within. So I invite you this week, come back home to the foundation of your practice. And wherever you are, whether it's in a heightened emotional state, whether you're trying to figure out something really big in your life and it feels really important, ask yourself, am I still able to come back home and just breathe? Because until we can do that, nothing else will work quite as well as it should. So that kind of brings us back into our intention and our purpose and our place within the greater system. So I hope you enjoy these little videos, and if you would like to join us for a group session or individual coaching, you can visit us at newleafmindfulness.com. And don't forget to like and share. I hope to see you all very soon.